Welcome to the Wind Up with Will, everyone. I'm your host, Will, here with another video. I apologize, it's been a few weeks. I've been super busy, just not had a lot of time to get videos out. But today I'm coming at you with a video of the Stanley Cup playoffs and the NBA playoffs. Now, we got a lot to cover in this video, and I want to apologize again that I've not gotten videos out recently. I'm going to work on trying to get more videos out. I've got a video that I'm going to do on the NFL draft, recapping that. I wanted to do a prediction video, but I just had not done enough. I had not done enough research, nor did I have the time to actually film. But right before the draft, but I do have an NBA and NHL playoffs video here for you today. Going to make some predictions and kind of recap some games that have already gone on. It's not quite a true prediction because some of these series are already over. So I'll tell you who I would have picked in those series. But let's go ahead and get started with the NHL playoffs. So I'm going to go through, we're going to go with the Eastern Conference first. My teams, the New York Rangers and Nashville Predators, didn't make the playoffs, unfortunately. So I've not been as invested in the NHL playoffs this year as I have in the past. But it has still been a somewhat exciting playoffs. We do have one Game 7 that's going to take place tomorrow night. But we're going to start with the Eastern Conference. So the one seed Sabres beat the four. Well, I maybe shouldn't use the one seed. This is how ESPN has it bracketed. I know the Sabres aren't the number one overall seed in the East. The NHL, I should preface this, the NHL does their playoffs weird, and that the first two rounds are division based. The top three seeds in each division automatically qualify for the playoffs, and then the two teams with the next best record or points getters in the standings make the playoffs as your wild card 1 and wild card 2. And the wild card 2 is considered the lowest seed in a conference, and they play the 1 seed regardless of what division the 1 seed is in. And then the first wild card will play the 2 seed, which is the other division winner, the second division winner in that respective conference. So you could have 5 teams from one division end up in the playoffs, and that's kind of what happened this year. You had the Senators, who were essentially the lowest seed, cross over into the other division to face the Hurricanes, the number one overall seed in the Eastern Conference. It's a very confusing playoffs. I wish they would just seed them 1 through 8. That would take away the confusion and just make it easier, because you have some years where the number 2 and number 3 overall seed in a conference face each other in the first round, which is just completely dumb. They've had to face each other in the first round because the number 1 overall seed is also in their division. So, and their division is the 1, 2, and 3 seeds, and the 2 and 3 seeds are facing each other in the first round. It doesn't make any sense. They need to change the playoff format, but that's a topic for another video. So it's a confusing format. So I'm just going to go off of how they're seated within that division or that side of the bracket. Why do I keep getting Microsoft pop-ups on my computer? I'm trying to film a video here. So in the Atlantic Division, we have the Buffalo Sabres won the division, so they're the 1 seed there. They're getting to host the 4 seed Bruins, who are also in the Atlantic Division. And they beat them 4-2 to advance to the conference semifinals. I would have picked the higher seed to win here. The Sabres have had a phenomenal season, so of course I'm going to pick them to win and advance. The 2 and 3 seed out of the Atlantic Division is the Tampa Bay Lightning as the 2 seed, and the Montreal Canadiens as the 3 seed. The series is currently tied 3-3. We got Game 7 tomorrow night at 5 p.m. I'm excited for that. This is going to be a big game, and this is the Canadiens have not won in a while. Canada hasn't won a Stanley Cup in a while, so there's going to be a lot of eyes on this game to see if the Canadiens can advance. And in my prediction, I pick the Lightning to win this. They're the higher seed. I feel like they've had good teams here in recent years. They have a talented roster. They're the higher seed. They have home ice advantage in Game 7. I'm picking the Lightning to advance. And even before, if I picked these beforehand, I would have probably picked the Lightning to advance, being the higher seed, and having a world class goaltender in Andre Vasilevsky, phenomenal goaltender. They've got a great team as well. A lot of great veterans there that have been on the Stanley Cup winning teams. So I'm picking the Lightning. Moving on down to the Metropolitan Division, the Carolina Hurricanes won that division. They're the number one overall seed in the Eastern Conference. They swept the Senators 4-9 to advance into this conference semifinals. I would have picked the Hurricanes over the Senators. I don't think I would have picked them to sweep, though. Hurricanes advance to the semifinals, conference semifinals. And then we had an in-state rivalry between the Pittsburgh Penguins and Philadelphia Flyers. The Flyers won this series 4-2 to advance as the 3 seed to face the Hurricanes in the next round. I would have probably picked the Penguins. The Penguins just always seem to have that luck on their side, that magic in the playoffs with Sidney Crosby. So I would have probably picked the Penguins to advance if I'd done this video before the playoffs started. So I'll go ahead and fill out the rest of the Eastern Conference bracket based on my predictions, and then we'll move on to the Western Conference. So, based on my prediction of the Lightning advancing and the teams already in the second round, I've got the Sabres versus the Lightning and the Hurricanes versus the Flyers. I'm picking the Sabres to beat the Lightning and advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. This has been a terrific year for them. I'm going to pick them to go farther and go on a run. Buffalo Sabres fans, I should say, have been waiting for this for a long time, and this year they're going to get some excitement in the playoffs. And then between the Hurricanes and the Hurricanes have not really had deep runs in the postseason here of late. They've had a lot of seasons of getting to the playoffs and losing in the first round, or getting to the second round, getting to the conference semifinals, but never making it to the conference finals. They've been so close so many times. They've ran into so many good teams. They've had so many good teams that have ran into other good teams. They've been on the cusp. They're the 1 seed in the East this year. They're beating the Flyers. They have home ice advantage. They're going to the Eastern Conference Finals to face the Buffalo Sabres, 2 teams that have been longing for success for a long time, longing for a Stanley Cup for a long time. I've got the Sabres and Hurricanes meeting in the Eastern Conference Finals. Hurricanes is the one seed. The Sabres is the 2 seed in the East. And give me the Buffalo Sabres to win and advance to the Stanley Cup Finals. There will be parades and riots in the streets of Buffalo. The Buffalo Sabres are going to the Stanley Cup Finals out of the East. Moving on to the Western Conference. The Colorado Avalanche were winners of the is that the Pacific? No, the Central. I apologize. I don't know why I said Pacific. Colorado Avalanche were winners of the Central Division, and they swept the Los Angeles Kings 4-0. Was the Avalanche the number 1 overall seed in the West? They were the number 1 overall seed in the West, and they are the President's Trophy winners. They have the most points of any team in the regular season. So they have the best overall record. The Avalanche, I'm picking to beat the Kings. I shouldn't say. I would have picked them to beat the Kings if I had done this video beforehand. They have the best record in the NHL. I'm going to pick that team to go farther than losing in the first round, even though that's happened a few times in recent years. Then we had the 2 seed Stars versus the 3 seed Minnesota Wild. And the Wild won this series 4-2 to advance. I'm not sure who I would have picked here. I probably would have sided with the Stars since I love the city of Dallas. And I've just never been, I know this is super controversial, I've just never been a huge fan of the Wild's logo. I love their jerseys. I'm just not big on the logo. I know that's a controversial decision there. But the Wild advance, and they're facing the Avalanche in the conference semifinals. Over to the Pacific Division. This is finally the Pacific Division. We have the 1 seed Golden Knights, who won that division, facing the Utah Mammoth. They win that series 4-2. I would have picked the Golden Knights to win this series. I love the Golden Knights. They've got great uniforms. They've got a great team. Jack Eichel, I love watching him play. I think he's a phenomenal player. And then the other series, it was the 2 seed Oilers versus the 3 seed Ducks, and the Ducks won this series 4-2. A lot of these decided in 6 games. The Ducks advanced to the conference semifinals to face the Golden Knights, and I would have not picked it to end this way. I would have picked the Oilers to advance, and I probably maybe would have picked the Oilers. I would have picked the Oilers probably to go back to the Western Conference Finals. They've got a great, very talented team, but it didn't work out for them this year. The Ducks advanced to face the Golden Knights in the conference semifinals. And my prediction of the rest of the way for the Western Conference is I have the Colorado Avalanche beating the Minnesota Wild to advance to the Western Conference Finals. And then I have, sorry, there's like a hair or something hanging down. And then I have the Golden Knights beating the Ducks to advance to the Western Conference Finals. And then I have the Golden Knights upsetting the Avalanche to go to the Stanley Cup Finals and face the Buffalo Sabres, the team that they had a trade with for Jack Eichel many years ago. Jack Eichel gets to face his former team in the Stanley Cup Finals. This would be an awesome storyline. It would be a team that's won recently versus that a team that's won recently that hasn't been around that long against a team that has a long history that hasn't won one. This would be a great story, and it would be a great Stanley Cup Finals. But I picked the Las Vegas Golden Knights to win the Stanley Cup Finals. I think they have a little more experience, and I think I think being a team that has a little more experience, in the playoffs, I think they're going to be a little bit more prepared for the big moment. And so I have the Las Vegas Golden Knights winning the Stanley Cup Finals, and I have Jack Eichel as the Conn Smythe winner, which is the MVP of the playoffs. And I'll give you a brief look here at the bracket. I had to draw this out. It's not very good, I know, and my handwriting is a little scratchy. And I'm going to apologize because when I show you mine for the NBA, it's even more messed up because I had to edit several times. So I hope you forgive me for that. Moving on to the NBA playoffs now. We're going to do a lot of recapping here because they have the play-in. Again, another playoff format I'm not a fan of, but again, that's a topic for another video. So the NBA playoffs has the play-in round where you have the 9 versus the 10 seed, the 7 versus the 8. The winner of 7-8 automatically gets the 7 seed. The loser of 7-8 faces the winner of 9-10 for the 8 seed. So to recap these briefly, I wrote these down. I don't really know why I wrote them down, but I did. In the East play-in round, we had the 9 seed Hornets over the 10 seed Heat. And we had the 7 seed 76ers over the 8 seed Magic. 76ers get the 7th seed. And then the 8 seed Magic face the 9th seed Hornets. Sorry, just correcting my writing there. And then for playing in that 8th place game, the Magic beat the Hornets to get the 8th seed. In the West, we had the Warriors as the 10 seed, the Clippers as the 9 seed, and then the 8 seed Trailblazers and the 7 seed Suns. We had the 10th seed Warriors beat the 9th seed Clippers, and the 8 Trailblazers beat the 7 Suns. And so the Trailblazers get the 7 seed, and then the Suns face the Warriors for the 8th and the 8th place game, and the Suns win that to get the 8th seed. I know that's very confusing. Trust me, I know it's confusing. I'm not a fan of the play-in tournament. Moving on to what's considered the first round now of the NBA playoffs. Starting with the Eastern Conference, we have the 1 seed Pistons against the 8th seed Magic. And this series is tied right now 3-3 with Game 7 tomorrow afternoon. I'm picking the Pistons to win this. They're the number one seed in the East. They're the number one seed for a reason. They've had a great season. Cunningham is a phenomenal player. Give me the Pistons to win this on their home court for Game 7. The Magic had a 3-1 lead in this series, and they've blown it. I think the pendulum has swung back towards the Pistons. I think the Pistons take Game 7 and advance to the conference semifinals. Then we have the 4 seed Cavaliers versus the 5 seed Raptors. This series is tied 3-3 as well, with Game 7 tomorrow night. Give me the Cavaliers to win this series over the Raptors. They have home court advantage. I like Donovan Mitchell. I think he's a great player. Give me the Cavaliers to advance. Then we have the 3 seed Knicks versus the 6 seed Hawks. My Knicks won the series 4-2 to advance. My brother is a Hawks fan. Um, feel a little sorry for him how the last game turned out. Just a complete blowout by the Knicks. But we've gotten revenge from the ghosts of Trae Young's past. So we've advanced, and this is a great opportunity for the Knicks to make a run in the playoffs. And then the other series was the 2 seed Celtics versus the 7th seed 76ers. Man, the sevens are really tongue twisting me. The 7th seed Suns and the 7th seed 76ers. It's a tongue twister. The 76ers ended up winning this series 4-3. They won Game 7 the other night to advance to the second round. I would have picked the Celtics to win this series. And in the previous series, I would have picked the Knicks to win just because of the higher seed. Even though the Hawks did put up a great fight against the Knicks, the fact that this went 7 games, part of it is due to Tatum not playing. I think, or did Tatum? I think Tatum did play. Did he not? Sorry, I'm looking this up. Tatum did not play in Game 7. So that's the difference. And Tatum's coming back off of an injury, so he's not the player he was a few years ago. So that's really I think the difference in this. But during the regular season, the Celtics still got the 2 seed, but the 76ers advanced to the conference semifinals. Go ahead and make my predictions the rest of the way. I have the 1 seed Pistons beating the 4 seed Cavaliers. I have the 3 seed Knicks over the 7 seed 76ers. And then in the conference finals, I have the Pistons versus the Knicks, and I've got the 3 seed Knicks advancing to the NBA Finals. I almost said Eastern Conference Finals. They're already in the Eastern Conference Finals if they're at this point. I have the Knicks going to the NBA Finals. I picked them to do it last year. I'm picking them again this year. I think they're talented. I think the path has opened up for them to face with facing the 76ers. And I think I would have picked them to beat the Celtics anyway, with knowing Tatum is not at 100%. Give me the Knicks to go to the NBA Finals. Moving on to the Western Conference real quick. We have the 1 seed Thunder. They're the number 1 overall seed in the NBA playoffs. Yes, I was just double checking that. I didn't want to say that and that'd be incorrect, so I was looking at the standings. The 1 seed Thunder versus the 8th seed Suns. I have I would have picked. I should say I would have picked the Thunder to win this series because they're the defending NBA champs. But they swept the series 4-0 against the Suns to advance to the conference semis. Then we had the 4 seed Lakers versus the 5 seed Rockets. Lakers won the series 4-2. I'm not sure who I would have picked here. Part of me wants to say the Rockets because I'm not a huge fan of the Lakers, but the Lakers are the higher seed. I'm not really sure who I would have picked beforehand. I'm going to admit that maybe I would have picked the Lakers because of the higher seed. I'm not really sure. Um, but either way, regardless of what I would have picked, the Lakers do advance here. Then in the other series, we have the 3 seed Nuggets versus the 6 seed Timberwolves. The Timberwolves upset the Nuggets in this series 4-2 to advance to the conference semis. I would have not picked that. I would have picked Jokic and the Nuggets to advance. I think he's one of the best players in the NBA right now, one of the best players in the world. I would have picked the Nuggets to advance to the conference semis. And then our last series here, we have the Spurs, the 2-seed Spurs versus the 7-seed Trailblazers. I would have picked the Spurs beforehand because of the higher seed, and Wemby is, I'm just going to call him Wemby. Wemby is a phenomenal player, one of the best in the sport. He is going to grow into probably the best in the sport at some point. Not maybe not overall of all time, but at least in the moment now. Guy puts up phenomenal stats. Um, the Spurs did win this series 4-1. They kind of just ran over the Trailblazers. And now they face the Timberwolves, the 6th seed. I think they've got a great chance to go to the Western Conference Finals. And one of my coworkers who's a Spurs fan, he loves that they're matched up against the Timberwolves. He likes them better than the Nuggets. At least I believe that's what he said. I could be wrong in that, but I believe he said he would rather face the Timberwolves. Um, the rest of the way in my predictions, I have the Thunder over the Lakers to go to the conference finals, Western Conference Finals, and then I have the Spurs over the Timberwolves to go to the Western Conference Finals. So we got a matchup of 1 versus 2 in the Western Conference Finals, and I'm picking the Spurs to upset the Thunder and go to the finals. I think Wemby is going to carry them. I think it's going to be a great series, maybe go 7 games. Give me the Spurs to advance to the NBA Finals and have a rematch of the Knicks and the 1999 NBA Finals. And as much as I would love to pick my Knicks to see one of my teams win a championship, I'm going to pick the Spurs. I think they're just a great team. Wemby, I think, is going to be, especially after this year, if they do win the finals, in the conversation of one of the best players in the league. Spurs, I think, are going to win the NBA Finals. They're your NBA champs, and 2 of my coworkers who are Spurs fans are going to be very happy with this prediction. I have two fellow coworkers. They're huge Spurs fans, and so congratulations to y'all. Maybe next year my Knicks can win. But you never know. It's not there. This is just a prediction video. Maybe the Knicks will still win. At least I'm going to hope so. Hope for them to. And my finals MVP prediction is Victor Wembanyama. I totally probably butchered his name. I love to just call him Wemby because it's a lot easier to pronounce. So I'm just going to give you a brief look here. As I said, there's a lot more editing on this page. There's a lot more chicken scratch, but that was just due to my editing style. That's all I've got for this video on my NBA and NHL playoff predictions. Let me know your thoughts down below. Who do you think is going to win the Stanley Cup Finals, and who do you think is going to win the NBA Finals? I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.